Okay, I am back and I'm going to make this confetti soap for you. My short earlier was the soap shreds that I already have, and I'm going to be working off of them. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add sugar and salt to my container before I add my lye. My table is pretty messy right now, and I apologize for that. I'm not very organized today. Why do I add salt and sugar to my soap? Some add sodium lactate, I think it is. And for hardness of the bar, some add salt. And the salt is me. So I'm going to add, I hope you guys are seeing me here. Add about 5 teaspoons of salt. And I'm going to do the same for the sugar. I've just got some plain old sugar. I think this came from Aldi. So sugar is for bubbles, salt is for hardness. Tips. These are the tips. So you guys should really watch how much of these you put in your soap. The sugar can really affect the softness, so the salt can help with some of that, but you just don't want to add too much sugar. So I have my another tips here. I bought in the very beginning, long time ago, a bunch of stuff at thrift stores. This came from a thrift store, and this quart pitcher, it's a Rubbermaid. I don't even know where the lid went. But I just put my water in here, and I don't use distilled water. I just use my water out of the tap, but my water is well water and not treated water. So I know some are just real big sticklers on that, but I'm not, and I've never had a problem. My soap has never turned funny colors or anything like that. So I have all my oil sitting here, and you see some of it is still solid, because what is the method that I do? I do the heat transfer method. Someone may come on here and balk and say, oh, you've reduced the properties of this oil or that oil, or you've reduced the essential oil, whatever. Guess what? Saponification can heat up to like 245, 250 degrees as it's going through the gel phase. Initially, whenever I pour this in here, it's not going to be but about 115 when it hits here. I could actually show you that too. But all that to say is, unless someone has scientific proof that, you know, this and that is lost, leave me alone. This is easy. I use the heat of my lye water to melt these oils. I do cheat a little bit. I did put this on for like a minute and a half in my microwave, which I do not like using microwaves. But okay, so sugar and salt are in here. You guys can see that there. I'm gonna measure my water in here. Let's see, my water for this particular formula, this is 93.1 ounces of oil weight, and the water for this is 540.51. So here is the formula, and I want to I don't know, maybe I will talk about it a little bit as I go along through my videos, but I actually like using the water lye ratio line on here. I have it set to 1.5 parts water to 1 part lye. We know that the least amount we can make, we can use with water for your soap making is 1 part water to 1 part lye. But you're going to have it trace really, really, really fast if you do it with that a little bit amount of water. And it's also, I find it very difficult to try and mix the lye up with that amount. so I don't do it. So here's my scale right here. And I am going to add the water for that. And the water is 540.51. 540 grams. Okay, I went over by a gram. So, no biggie, okay? Yes, soap making is pretty much an exact science, but a gram is not going to make that big of a difference. I don't know how ended up getting some soap on that, but I like to use this big long. I did get these at, you can get them at a restaurant supply, but I got this one at Sam's. And you really need to make sure that this is stirred up really well and it's completely dissolved in here, because if you don't, you'll get nice little speckles in your soap, and I hate that. I don't like little speckles in my soap. But the water will turn cloudy with doing this. The water will also turn a little bit tan in color because of the sugar whenever I put the lye in. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on. These aren't the cutest little things in the world, but they will help protect my eyes when I go to add the lye. So you notice I am a hot mama and I cannot wear long sleeves. I do have my gloves on. I put my eyewear on, and technically I should have long pants and shoes on. I don't have either. So I guess do as I say, not as I do. If you're new, you really have to be careful. Just have to trust the process and treat the lye with respect, I guess most other people say. But okay, so I have all of my shreds in this bucket, but I'm not going to use that bucket to mix the whole entire thing in. This pretty much is mixed up, I do believe. It's hard for me to tell through these things, but I do need to make sure that it's pretty much mixed up, and it almost is. So I have my lye. I buy it in 50-pound increments. If you guys can find like a chemical store or a pool and spa store that would order the lye for you, it would be a lot cheaper, but make sure that you get the food grade lye and not the other kind. I don't know what they call that kind. I forgot. But you want the food grade lye because it has less metals in it than the other kind that's more like a more industrial kind. Sodium hydroxide, for my international friends, it would be, they call it caustic soda. N, little a, and then big O and big H. NaOH, for bar soap. So, yeah, this looks good. So I am going to go ahead and pour all of my shreds in this big bucket. And I have 70% new soap with 30% shreds. So the total of my formula is 133 ounces. So I have 93.1 in new soap, and I have 39.90 in shreds that I measured. We'll see how this works. I've never used this in the slab mold that I just purchased a few months ago. I got a few more here recently. Maybe I shouldn't have added that. That's dumb of me. See, you're going to watch me on camera screw up. I am going to take those back out because I want to, well, no. I changed my mind. I will just mix all of the soap in this bucket after I've measured my lye into there. And then I will switch you back over to the big bucket, and we will work on adding that to the big bucket with the shreds. So let me grab my lye. And you have to have one of these if you're opening a big bucket. It's just really difficult if you don't. My hands are horrible. Big bucket. So, I use a scoop, and I can move this over here where y'all can see it. I use a scoop, and let me see what my lye amount is. 360.34. Stand back because it will kind of splash. I don't like, some of this lye that I got had some junk in it, and I don't like it. $360, what did we say? See, I've already forgotten. 360.34. Almost there. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at 0.5. Some of you might say, what does lye do? And why do I need to put lye in my soap? Without lye, you have no soap. So if you don't have lye, you don't have soap, because lye eats up the oil, or oil as we call it in the South, and makes it into something completely different than what you started with. Sometimes you will see soap labeled saponified oils of, and then you will see a colon and then whatever oils they used. Sometimes you will see the INCL or the INCI name for that, and it might be sodium tallate or sodium lardate or sodium cocoate. That just means they use tallow and lard and coconut in that soap. So, or olivate, I think is olive oil. I don't use those names. I don't want to confuse my customers, so I just go ahead and use the actual oil name that you would see it on the shelf. So one of the oils that I use is sunflower oil. So this is a high oleic sunflower oil. So I just put sunflower oil on my label. So I don't like to confuse the customer. I even put what goes in my pot, which is lye. Some people don't put lye in their pot, but all soap has some kind of lye in it, whether it's potassium hydroxide or whether it's sodium hydroxide. This is actually sodium hydroxide. So I am mixing this up and making sure that it is really, really mixed in good. I don't want any leftover lye in my soap, like crystals, because it will, it will make crystals in your soap and lye pockets if it's not completely mixed up in your water here. So you really have to be careful that it's mixed up good. It is really, really hot. I'm going to take a temperature for you so I can tell you how hot it is. It's 206 degrees right now. So I said earlier that it gets really hot. It does get really hot. So you have to just be really careful when you're pouring it, so that you don't splash it on yourself. Try to pour in the center where there's not as much, if you're doing hot heat transfer, where there's not enough, I'm just getting the rest of this water out, where there's not a lot of solid oils. So let me tell you what it is currently. I'm just going to go in the center here. 104. So you see that when before I put it in there, it was up 206 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it's 104. These are heat guns. I got this one off Amazon. ETEKCITY ETC 8330 infrared thermometer. Negative 30 or negative 50 degrees Celsius to 380 degrees Celsius is what it measures. So right now it's crept back up to 107. It usually goes up to like 115. So my goal in doing this is to show y'all, some people, I don't know if there are many people that use their scraps or their leftover soaps and make them into a new soap, but I find it, I love the soap. It's one of my favorites because I like the way it looks. So I like that. Anyway, I don't know what I did with my, oh, there's my stick blender. Okay, I am nearing the end of having all of these lard pieces be completely melted. And what I like to do is try to get them almost melted, and then I'll hit it with the stick blender. But I want to make sure that I incorporate all of my pieces here of my shreds and make sure that they get real sticky and coated with the new soap, because it's going to aid you when you go to cut the soap. If I cut it later on today or tomorrow, it will help me to do that. And I'm sorry if this video is long. It's why I did a lot of my measuring before I came on, because I don't like to make them very long. But I also like to make them to where people can go back and watch them and maybe they'll understand something that they didn't know before. I'm making confetti soap. Not yet. This is just the, I am melting, not melting, I am, I am melting the lard right now.
Ooh, it's hot.
And it is hot. And I am just about to go ahead and pour my shreds, pour these in my shreds, because I've got it completely melted down. So I am going to go ahead and coat my shreds here in this bigger bucket before I pour. And wish me luck. I hope this works out. So I'm going to make sure it's all incorporated here. Get all the soap out in my bucket here. These two buckets came from, this one here came from Sam's. This one here that I'm working on now that's on the table came from a restaurant supply store in Tulsa. And I liked it because it was just kind of a wide, had a wide base. Let me see if I can grab this camera. Oh, I can. It won't let me. Well, maybe I'll try anyway, and so you guys can see. So you see here, this is what it looks like soup almost. It's almost a little bit too traced for me already, but I wanted to get this nice and coated before I put it into the mold. So let me put you back down, and I'm just gonna make sure that it's everything is covered from the bottom, and I'm scooping it from the bottom to the top, and hopefully this will fit in that mold. I have some little small molds on standby just in case I go over. So, oh, it looks wonderful. So, let me grab my mold. There's my mold. And these came from Amazon. I can leave a link to those in the description box for y'all. These, I fill it all the way up. So 133 ounces of oil weight is what I put in it. And when it finishes, the finished ounces, or the finished weight is 178.39 ounces, or 11.15 pounds, or 5,057.41 grams. So that's that story. That's the finished weight. So 11 pounds of soap. I didn't even pay attention to that the last time I was making soap. So let me grab. And you really want to be careful because it can splash. So it looks like I was hoping to get to the top of this, but it looks like it's not getting to the top. But maybe it will by the time I finish scraping it. Hopefully you guys can see all of that and I'm not covering the camera too much. So it's going well here. I'm going to tap it out, and I may have to adjust my content, my batter. I say batter, my soap. The original soap that I just made, I may have to adjust that in the next formula that I make, so I can make just probably a tad more of the regular, the brand new soap with the shreds, because I don't know, this might come up short, but we'll see when we get it cut and when it, what the finished weight of the soap bar looks like. As I told you guys before on Facebook, I really like to be sure that my customers are getting a very nice big bar of soap that will last them, you know, at least 3 weeks to 4 weeks. I can't promise because I don't know how many people are going to be using that 1 bar of soap, and I can't guarantee that, but my hope is that you can get a little bit of time out of that soap before you have to come back and buy more. So that's all of that. I filled it up to the top, and I'm patting it out a little bit here and getting it all the way to the corners so everything is even. And we will come back later and do a cutting video. All right, y'all. Sorry the video was so long. Hopefully you learned something, and maybe you can go make you some soap. Talk with you later. God bless you. Bye-bye.